Rick, I don't get it. Why can't money just be like the same everywhere? Why is a dollar worth different things in different countries? That seems really stupid.
Oh, wow, Morty. Wow. That's actually a great question for someone with your intellectual capacity, which is to say it's completely obvious to anyone with half a functioning brain cell. But sure, let me explain basic economics to you like you're a golden retriever trying to understand calculus.
I mean, it just seems complicated for no reason.
Complicated? Complicated? Morty, you think tying your shoes is complicated. But fine, let's start with your boy Bob here. Average American idiot uses dollars every day without questioning the fundamental nature of fiat currency because he's too busy watching reality TV. Bob wants to go to Germany, right? Land of beer and questionable historical decisions. He tries to exchange his dollars and finds out $1 equals 90 cents in euros. Then he goes to Vietnam and suddenly his dollar's worth 25,000 dong. And Bob's tiny brain nearly explodes because he never bothered to learn anything.
But why though? Why isn't everything just equal?
Because the universe doesn't care about your feelings, Morty. Because economics is supply and demand, not some communist fantasy where everything magically has the same value. You want a history lesson? Of course you don't, but you're getting one anyway. Long time ago, money was tied to shiny rocks. Gold, specifically. The gold standard. Countries couldn't just print money whenever they wanted because they needed actual gold to back it up. It was like training wheels for governments who couldn't be trusted with a printing press.
That sounds actually kind of smart.
Oh, it was brilliant compared to what came next. But then economies got bigger, wars happened, and governments realized, hey, what if we could just print money without needing shiny metal? So by the 1970s, everyone switched to fiat money. You know what fiat means, Morty? It means the money is worth something because the government says it's worth something. It's literally belief-based currency. It's financial Santa Claus.
Wait, so money is basically fake?
Now you're getting it. Sort of. I mean, you're still wrong, but you're approaching the concept. Fiat money has value because people want it. Supply and demand, Morty. If everyone wants dollars, dollars become valuable. If nobody wants your currency like Venezuela's bolivar, congratulations, you're using toilet paper that's somehow worth less than actual toilet paper.
Jeez, that's dark, Rick.
That's economics, Morty. Which brings us to inflation. Oh boy, here we go. Inflation is when your money becomes more worthless than your contribution to this conversation. It's when there's more money chasing the same amount of stuff. In 2022, you could buy 2 loaves of bread for 10 bucks. 2 years later, 1 loaf, same money, less bread, more sadness.
So printing more money is bad?
Wow, we're making progress. Look at you, forming basic economic conclusions. Yeah, Morty, printing money mindlessly is bad. Just ask Zimbabwe. In the 1980s, their dollar was worth more than the US dollar. 1 Zimbabwean dollar equaled 1.35 US dollars. They were doing great. Then they screwed up their land reform, got corrupt, slapped on some international sanctions, and started printing money like it was going out of style, which, ironically, it was. By the 2000s, 1 US dollar equaled almost 600,000 Zimbabwean dollars.
Holy crap, Rick!
They changed their currency multiple times trying to fix it, failed spectacularly, and eventually just gave up and started using other countries' money. The US dollar, South African rand, whatever worked. Although apparently they're trying again because humans never learn from their mistakes, Morty. It's literally our defining characteristic as a species.
Okay, but what about interest rates? I hear people talk about those all the time.
Oh good, Morty wants to know about interest rates. Let me dumb this down to your level. Interest rates are the price of borrowing money. You borrow $1,000 at 10% interest, you pay back 1,100. The extra 100 is the interest, the fee for someone trusting your broke self with their money. Central banks like the Federal Reserve, these bureaucratic nightmares, they set interest rates for entire countries.
Why does that matter for currency value?
Because, Morty, when a country has high interest rates, it offers better returns on investments. Foreign investors see that and think, ooh, I can make more money there. So they buy that country's currency to invest, which increases demand, which makes the currency stronger. It's not rocket science. Well, actually, rocket science is way easier than economics because rockets follow predictable physics, but whatever.
So higher interest rates are always good?
No. God, Morty, did you listen to anything I just said? High interest rates mean borrowing money becomes expensive for everyone in that country. People can't buy houses, businesses can't expand, the economy slows down, unemployment goes up, and suddenly everyone's miserable. Central banks have to balance this like a drunk person on a tightrope. That's why everyone freaks out when the Federal Reserve Chairman announces rate changes. One old guy's decision affects the entire global economy.
That seems like a lot of power for one person.
Welcome to Earth, Morty, where we give ridiculous amounts of power to people in suits and hope they don't screw it up too badly. Now let's talk about why countries actually want foreign investment. When China opened up to foreign investors in the late 1970s, companies flooded in to build factories. But to build factories in China, they needed Chinese yuan. More demand for yuan means stronger yuan. Basic economics that apparently nobody teaches anymore.
So countries compete for foreign investment?
Exactly. Finally, a correct observation. Countries promote themselves like desperate singles at a bar trying to attract foreign money. But investors aren't stupid. Well, some are, but generally they look for stable countries, stable politics, stable economy, consistent rules. Because if a government promises low taxes to attract business and then suddenly raises them, businesses lose money and leave.
That makes sense, I guess.
Oh, it makes sense now? How generous of you to approve of fundamental economic principles. If a country has protests, strikes, political chaos, investors run away faster than you run from your responsibilities, Morty. High debt, high inflation, economic problems? Foreign money stays away. Stability attracts investment. Investment strengthens currency. It's a circle, Morty. A big capitalist circle.
What about exports and imports?
Oh, now you want to know about trade. Okay, when Japan exports cars, other countries need Japanese yen to buy those cars. Demand for yen goes up. When Japan imports coal from Australia, they need Australian dollars. Demand for Australian dollars goes up. Countries try to export more because it means others need their currency.
Is that why the dollar is so strong?
Partially. The US convinced oil-producing countries like Saudi Arabia to sell oil only in US dollars. The petrodollar system, Morty. Since every country needs oil, they need dollars to buy it. Boom, the dollar becomes the global currency. The US becomes the #1 economy through a combination of economic strategy and, let's be honest, some military intimidation.
That seems kind of manipulative.
It's geopolitics, Morty! Everything's manipulative. Meanwhile, small island nations like Tuvalu have nothing to export, so nobody wants their currency and they just use US dollars or Australian dollars instead. It's survival of the economically fittest.
Can't countries just, set their currency value to whatever they want?
Oh look, Morty discovered currency pegging? Yeah, some countries peg their currency to stronger currencies. Brunei pegs their dollar 1-to-1 with Singapore's dollar. Same value, interchangeable. Belize pegs their dollar at exactly half the value of the US dollar. Super convenient! You just double the amount, even you could do that math.
Hey!
But here's the catch, Morty, because there's always a catch. When you peg your currency, you're tying your economic fate to another country. If the US dollar tanks, the Belize dollar tanks. If one lives, the other lives. If one dies, the other dies. It's economic codependency, like your relationship with your phone.
Well, why don't we just have one world currency then? Wouldn't that solve everything?
Oh, Morty, you beautiful, naive idiot. That sounds great in theory, like communism or your dating prospects. Look at the euro. Super convenient for Europeans traveling around, not exchanging money, living their best bureaucratic lives. But every country gave up control of their monetary policy to the European Central Bank. They can't adjust their own economy independently anymore.
What's wrong with that?
What's wrong? When Greece had a financial crisis in 2009, it affected the entire Eurozone. Germany got dragged into Greece's problems and they were not happy about it. Now imagine that on a global scale. One country screws up and suddenly everyone's economy crashes. You're living your life, everything's fine, then boom, inflation and crisis because some country thousands of miles away decided to be financially irresponsible.
Oh, geez, that does sound bad.
Oh, geez is right, Morty. Different countries have different needs. Singapore imports a lot, so they want a strong currency to make imports cheaper. China exports a lot, so they want a weaker currency to make their products cheaper for other countries. That's why China gets accused of currency devaluation, purposely weakening their currency for competitive advantage. It's economic warfare without the actual warfare, though. Give it time.
So there's no perfect answer?
There's never a perfect answer, Morty. That's what I've been trying to teach you. Economics is about trade-offs, competing interests, and everyone trying to screw everyone else over just a little bit more. Currency values fluctuate based on inflation, interest rates, political stability, foreign investment, exports, imports, and about a million other factors that change every second.
Man, money is really complicated.
Money is a shared delusion that only works because everyone agrees to participate, Morty. It's a collective hallucination backed by governments, enforced by central banks, and subject to market forces that most people don't understand. Bob, from the beginning of this conversation, he'll never understand why his dollar is worth 90 euro cents. He'll just exchange his money, complain about the fees, and go eat schnitzel without questioning the fundamental nature of global economics.
I mean, that doesn't sound so bad.
That's because you're basically Bob, Morty. You're all Bob. And honestly, maybe that's fine. The global financial system is held together by duct tape, prayer, and the collective agreement not to think too hard about how absurd it all is. Now, come on, we've got actual adventures to go on that don't involve explaining basic economics to someone who still can't calculate a tip.
I can calculate tips, Rick.
Sure you can, Morty. Sure you can.